Hey guys, we are going to do the frame today. We're going to bead blast this frame. We're going to expose this old bad weld, find out what kind of thread pitch that is, figure out what bolted to it. The head stay triangle bolts back here. The coil goes here. The radiators go here. So I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what bolts there, but we'll figure that out. Best way to do that is go into a parts diagram, go into a parts fiche and see if you can see what bolts onto it. I doubt it's a gas tank mount because I think that's up here, but you know, again, we'll see. I'm going to bead blast this and inspect it for any fractures or cracks, make sure everything's worked out okay, make sure all this, you know, welds look strong. You see that where that surface took a beating when the Sawzall blade went past it to cut the shaft out. So I'll take a grinder and just flatten it. You know, it's not going to be machine grade. I'm not putting this thing up in a mill and having a chaser go across and level it. And I can't put it on a Blanchard cutter because it won't fit on it. So it's not going to be a big deal as far as getting it level. It's just going to squeeze the outer core of a bearing. So, but I'm going to flatten it. I'm going to go ahead and flatten it and make it smooth so it's easy to work with. And then when we torque this down, the frame will just compress and squeeze the swing arm like that. These will just come in and compress and flex. This is just steel. This is just chromoly steel, so it'll flex. I'm going to leave the bearing cups in for the head stay when I do the bead blasting. I'm going to leave the bearing cups in for the head stay because I want to protect that surface. I want to protect, you know, the inside of the frame. I don't want that part getting loose and beat up with bead blast and a bunch of sand and all that in there. I'm just going to clean it all up, then knock them out. After I paint it, I'm going to paint it first. Now, normally I would powder coat this part. Normally I would send this out and get it professionally powder coated and pay somebody to do a good job. But we're just going to use glossy navy blue. This was the closest thing I could find at the hardware store that looked like Ford Prismatic Blue. And Ford Prismatic Blue is what's all over the Suzuki. So I'm just going to do that with this bike. Just nice and cheap, just a spray paint job. And we'll keep the cost down on this one. Because to be quite honest with you guys, we're doing this job in the middle of the winter when there's not much money coming in. And when we're done, I don't think it's going to be worth more than a couple $1,000s when we're finished with it. So there again, I don't want to put $3,000 into a $2,000 bike. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and get this bead blasted. See this finish here, guys? This is what it looks like after you get it blasted. Looks pretty good. This is where all the deep rust was. This is where the boots rubbed on the frame for years and ate the paint off. And then the rust got on the smooth surface that used to look like this and just dug into it. So now that's permanently damaged with rust. I could go back and sand that down, but I'm not going to because I don't want to thin the metal. I want to leave as much original steel as I can. Back here, this is where all the chain lube would goop up. And all the chain lube would get into nooks and crannies and dripping oil and mucky mess that the power washer didn't get off. And the bead blaster couldn't grind through that stuff. So I'm just knocking it off with a screwdriver. See this stuff here? See, that's for probably on the right side, maybe right side engine case cover leaking oil or something. I don't know. But see where the oily dirt was caked on, and the bead blaster wasn't defeating it. So I'm just going through and knocking all that loose stuff off. Okay, these stickers here. This one is an emission sticker, where they put a base sticker down and then clear coated it, and I peeled the clear coat off, trying to get the whole sticker off, but it just said it's not conform to EPA noise standards, and these say closed course competition use only. I don't need all this. So they won't peel up very easily by just peeling them with my fingernail. They're so old and cooked and baked and rotted. I'm just going to take a razor blade and do this. There you go, guys. You can see where they just welded a nut. I cleared a lot of the slag off of that weld, and a lot of the pop pop bubbles and stuff out of the way. And what you're left with is just some old junk steel hardware store nut that somebody welded in there. Which, you know, that's fine. That'll do a great job of holding whatever it's supposed to hold. I just don't know what that is yet. But I think they were more so using it as a through bolt hole rather than actually bolting something into the threads that it was designed with. I just flattened it off, gave it some smooth edges, made it look, you know, less schlaggy. Got all the slag off of it, and that'll work just fine. By the time we bead blast that and paint it, you know, a quick glance wouldn't even notice it. I'm going to blow it off with air to get all the dry sand up out of the brackets and out of the threads and out of the frame gussets. And then after I blow it off real good with air, then I'm going to follow that with alcohol. I'm just going to take Worth style brake clean out of that drum right there. You can buy the aerosol version of it at the auto parts store, and just spray that surface down with alcohol and get it completely dust, dirt, and grease free. And then after that sits and dries for a little while, then you're ready to prime it. A lot of you guys at home will just clean over the old paint and paint it a new color, but I strongly recommend that you do bead blast it. It does wonders to make for a better job. Then after you blow all the dirt out, hit it with alcohol, aka Worth brake cleaner, and once that evaporates, you're ready to do a cheap little prime job. You say, oh, you're not getting the bottom perfect because the bottom's on the chair. Well, last I checked, that's what sits on the stand. And it's going to get ground down with mud and dirt anyway. I mean, it all comes down to a matter of practicality, guys. How much time and money do you want to spend on a $1,000 dirt bike? That's what it all boils down to. My recommendation, get your $1,000 dirt bike done and go ride it. Learn how to ride instead of learning how to complain about what other people are doing. Learn how to race faster, learn how to ride stronger, learn how to be a better athlete. Spend all that time and energy that people spend trolling on the internet and complaining about what somebody else isn't doing right. How many championships do they have? You know, most of them 0. Okay, guys, I've got that good enough to where I'm ready to prime it. We'll let that air down and we'll get you some shots. Okay, guys, as far as spray painting goes, the best thing to do is just tack it real light to start. You don't want any runs forming from the very beginning. That's horrible. So just give it a light tack. See that? See all that real good coverage I got just with that one pass? Watch this. Look at that. Real nice coverage. One pass. The idea here is not to go hog wild laying down a lot of depth. The idea on this first pass is just touch the metal and give everything else something to stick to. It's a primer. It's not a base coat. I'm gonna let that dry a couple minutes. Take the paint back in the warm shop. It's cold out here. It's colder than it should be for painting. It's about, I don't know, 55 degrees. Somewhere on this can, they'll tell you what the minimum temperature is. Yeah, they say 50 degrees. So, okay. But I'll put this paint in and warm it up. Warm paint spreads better, and it coats better, and it fills holes better without globbing up. So I'm going to let this paint warm up, let that dry. I'll come back and hit it with a second coat of primer. Then we'll get ready to put some color up on that mama jama. But let's take a look and see what happens when you put some color on it. Bam! Pop! Look at that. Boom! Oh yeah. Look at that, guys. And with all that primer being down, if you missed a little tiny little spot somewhere, No big deal. The primer's just giving it all something to etch and stick to. And I'm going to do the same thing with the color. I'm just going around. I'm not really laying down a thickness anywhere. I'm just laying down something for it to all stick to. And you let that first one dry pretty good. You don't, a lot of guys get runs when they use their rattle cans. It's because they don't let that first base layer get a lot of time to just sit there and chill. Be patient. I know it's not our personality type, guys, but we got to do it this time. We got to just let this thing dry for a little bit before we start hitting it with additional layers, because you will cause runs. You don't want your runs anywhere but your grandmom's undies, okay? You don't want them on your projects. All right, here we go. Up and down the back. Light layers, guys, light. We're not laying down any thickness anywhere. We're just making everything generally have some blue around or near it. And then after this dries, we'll go back later and we'll start filling in. And you can go a little thicker and move the can a little slower on the second go. Okay. All right. I'm gonna call that a first coat, a tack coat. You know, this is more for corrosion protection than it is for outright showmanship and you know, outright perfection, because you know we are going to ride this bike, but still it looks a lot nicer. It's a lot nicer than what we started with, if I do say so myself. You just try to, it's hard to see in the camera, but you just try to find your thin spots. What do you think, Mr. Two? Looking good?
Looking fucking good now.
Yeah?
Not a piece of shit.
Not a piece?
Yeah. Look, good color now.
Good color now?
Yeah.
Okay, buddy.
See, I told you to hang that and do it easy.
Okay, see? He told us, guys. He told us.